All right, everybody, we are back again. COVID Cabal, September 25th, 2025. How are you guys doing today? If you are here, leave a comment in the chat. If you are here, leave a comment in the chat. I want to see who's here. As always, present yourselves. You must present yourselves for the COVID Cabal. Guys, I'm right on extremely low amounts of sleep right now. I'm burning the candles at both ends between all the stuff I'm doing, prepping for the masterclass course, filming, and for the book on Fort Dix. So I am burning the candle at both ends. So if I'm a lunatic tonight, if I forget stuff, just tell me in the comments, okay? I think I'm gonna be okay. I think I'm gonna be all right. The energy's there. I'm just telling you, the brain power is not as much there. You know, it's like the memory. It's just going. Too much stuff in there. I went to the food store today, and the individual at the checkout counter who may have been very look, by the way, very kind person. Definitely some gay, really long nails. You know what I mean? They were doing something. They were doing something a little like, you know, ratchet kind of nail style for a guy. Pointed out kindly to me that the bacon I had purchased was rotten, and the package had been torn open already. So I didn't even see that. Like, I was like, la la land, and that's just the kind of, that's what's going on here. Masterclass is jumping in price with 2.0. It's going to be almost twice as much content, but the whole organization and structure of it is going to be changing. There's going to be much more of a coach yourself aspect to it. So whereas Masterclass 1.0 was just simply like an encyclopedia, a structured encyclopedia, this is much more than that. Very excited about it. Everybody who has the Masterclass now will get grandfathered into the new version, and the price increase will be probably like 40%. It's going to be probably about $1,000 from the current price of $690. So buy it. The link is in the description, guys. Links in the description. Buy the masterclass. Don't be stupid. Buy it. Get the deal. Get the deal. Remember, they're all deducted from coaching too. All right, let's see who's in here. Reporting for duty. Yes, J-Dog. Good to see you in here. Alistair, turning in from the base of Whistler Mountain with a nice lager in hand. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers to you too. Cheers to you too from over there. Greetings to ye in Canada. Greetings to ye in Canada. Hope you guys are hanging out. You guys are, hold it down, guys. You just got to wait a little bit longer. Uncle Sam's coming for you guys. We're coming. Just keep it together. A couple more years, Canada. Happy Friday. We want that one. On my way back from the city of London. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yep, get that masterclass. I'm operating 150% of Joe Biden right now. You got it, guys. You got it. You absolutely got it. And yeah, this is also true if we want to go schizo here. And by the way, guys, today's episode will be a little schizo. We're not going back to season 1 because we've grown, right? We've grown. Season 1, by the way, I'm going to give myself well, let me just finish this comment. Yes, sleep has been rough ever since Charlie's assassination, I think, for people. I've been hearing that all over. So there's more going on too. And yeah, Paul Spencer, Paul, he might go by Paul Publisher's handle. Let me see what his handle is. I'm actually going to drop him in the chat. He's switched it up. So he's under Zeitville Media now. Yeah, if you guys are looking for a good astrologer, I'm dropping it in the chat right now. Zeitville Media. Paul's a good guy. Excellent guy. Excellent. So, what was I talking about here? Yeah, so season 1, COVID Cabal, we were a little schizo, but we had to be schizo because the world was becoming schizo. There was so much stuff going on. We had conspiracy theory things all over the place, and we're trying to sort through it. And our discernment is better now. We don't fall for lunatic crap. You know, I'll give you an example of some lunatic stuff. Some lunatic stuff is all the stuff that Charlie Kirk is not really dead, right? It's all white hats abducted him. Just like the white hats, you know, I really didn't go to prison. The white hats didn't put me in you know, it was all just a fake thing. You know, that was the Patriots in control. Some of this stuff some of these people, I don't know, it's like having a hard time coping with reality. And by the way, I've seen that in the new age community in general. They're like very spiritual and they're all about, love and light, but like they have no ability to deal with real world things. So they're disembodied. So we're past that, but we are gonna be a little schizo today. Matt, it's good to see you in here. We're gonna be a little schizo just because we got to explore some things, and it's just you gotta do it, guys. You gotta do it. So anyway, I have a glass of white Burgundy Chardonnay here, and we are gonna get started with today's COVID cabal. So, a few topics today to go into, but and the king is going to be a big part of this, okay? But there's a few little things I want to wrap up from the last conversation before we go there, because it's very, very important. Last episode, so 2 episodes ago, I was breaking down where the discrepancies were and trying to sort things out and pointing out where that we had these discrepancies. Last COVID cabal, I brought us through to where the reconciliation is, in my opinion. But I'm going to tell you guys this. This is how it is when you notice discrepancies. You know that you have the wrong theory of mind. That there is something that is not. You might be closer to the truth, but you know that you do not have, like, if not everything that you're seeing is fitting together, then you know that something isn't right. And what can be very hard is changing the assumption to something that seems outlandish. But sometimes it's only the outlandish assumption that actually fits everything together. So I want to go back to this for a second, because I want us to be very clear at what the thesis is at this point in time and what it means, so that it doesn't get lost in because everything that we're doing going forward, I am now going to be proceeding with this thesis, and I'm going to constantly have it stress tested with every new development that we have. And Jeff, I have still not had the box wine, but I did have moonshine out of a mop bucket in Fort Dix. So I don't know if that counts. Is that good enough? Can I finally get you off my ass after all these years, Jeff, about having some box wine? Necessity is the mother of invention. I had some of that dog shit. Seriously, that was foul. Okay. So this is the thesis. The thesis is that you have the two factions of the cabal, the neocons, which are much more Luciferian in nature, and they are all about the will to power and dominating everybody, right? And then you have the neolibs, who are more like satanic, typical communist, like, elevation of the lowest, right? But here's the thing. They are both working together towards this overarching goal, which is to make all the Jews have to come together, maybe to Israel itself physically, but to make Israel come together to fight against the entire world. That is what, and this is part of Jewish eschatology. It's a more extreme iteration of it, but it fits in. We've been hearing, we go back to season 1, COVID Cabal 2020, right? That we were talking about how they had the end time script, right? But we were too early on in it, maybe, to see exactly what that meant, what was going on. But now we are coming out of, we're in this turnaround now, and we can start to see maybe what they're laying out. How are they going to bring about this Antichrist? And I genuinely believe that this is it, because it is the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that reconciles everything. Because ever since the invasion of Gaza, or the attack on October 7th, 2023, and then the subsequent invasion of Gaza in the war, it has really been in your face about what, pieces of shit Israel and Jews in general are. That is all over the place right now. It's all over. And it was not before. Not that people didn't hold those opinions, but you are not really allowed to express them. And now they are not simply expressed, they are like everywhere. And it happened really, really quickly. Really quickly, guys. This is how you know that there's an astroturf here. And yes, don't and I will admit, of course, that feelings and sentiments that are buried and suppressed can certainly accelerate quickly. And there's also no question that Israel's, behavior in the war, from an international perspective, moral perspective, it is ethnic cleansing in Gaza. I mean, I don't think that I'm not carrying water for that. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Whether you can understand it from their perspective, it is what it is, right? That is what's happening. The world is turning against them. And I kept thinking to myself, this is really stupid because they're alienating everybody and they don't seem to care. They seem to keep pushing on it. Like when we were doing all this stuff with MAGA, like they kept throwing like, we need more anti-Semitism laws. And they had all their cronies in Congress jump to attention to put anti-Semitism laws out there without, when it was totally unnecessary to take that approach. They could have achieved the same result without doing that by just simply focusing on leftist terrorists, right? Or people who are attacking America. But the initial iterations of these bills, MAGA, actually, like people like Stephen Miller, who is Jewish, by the way, but he is not with them at all. He's our guy, inner circle, amazing man, right? And this is going to get to something that's really important, by the way. It's what I'm going to build to. They, this stuff is way too in the face. And even after, like, whoever killed Charlie Kirk, and that's another thing we'll touch on, right? Because there's more information constantly coming out. Whether it was Mossad, again, doesn't matter, really. It's two sides of the same coin. Whether it was Antifa or whether it was really the neocons who did it, it doesn't matter because they're two sides of the same coin. What matters is that there was an immediate anti-Israel narrative that came up that Israel was behind it. And to totally like validate that stuff, you have Netanyahu doing all sorts of weird things, like doing videos like, we would never kill Charlie Kirk. It's crazy that they're saying this. Very unpersuasive stuff, but more than unpersuasive, it's almost like, it's like kind of clueless. It's not the kind of stuff that you would do if you actually were trying to draw people off. No one ever will say that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But instead, what do you have? You have Ben Shapiro is going to take over Turning Point USA, which was a false rumor, but it went everywhere, right? And then you had Congress passing all of these bills, anti-Semitism related stuff, right when Charlie had died. These are all things that make you go, what the fuck? My point here, though, is that it's too obvious. And that was what I was having a hard time with. Yes, it's like Netanyahu is rage baiting. Absolutely. I mean, look, theoretically, I guess people who are really on delusional power trip, I guess they could be completely like hubristic. But this is the thing. And this is why I was like, well, why would they kill Charlie? Charlie was trying to help people separate, to see the Jews as humans and good people and to not hate Israel. But he was criticizing certain decisions Israel was making because he wanted to help Israel. Well, that's why they fucking killed him, because they wanted people to hate Israel. And that's what I mean. It's like a crazy thing to think about. Why would they want the world to go after Israel? But that is their eschatology, and it makes every piece of the puzzle fit, right? I'm going to give you guys a screenshot here. And by the way, this guy here, go to that guy's account and Versionism to find this this Chinese professor, because he goes into it really well and he does a great job with it. Phenomenal job with this. And I had heard this before, but I admit I completely forgot about it. And I never put it together. It was like, oh yeah, the world will be against Israel. But I never thought about it like that they were going to try to fulfill that. I was thinking it would just happen. But he outlined it as an actual, like a belief. And of course it makes sense that they're going to try to manifest this. So this is a good comment, right? I went hard against Israel for like 6 months after October 7th, did multiple podcasts on it. Then I started noticing that everyone and their mama was turning on Israel. And Israel and its bedfellows seemed to be doing things overtly to piss everyone off. Something felt off about it back then, and I don't remember where I saw it, but someone said it was likely intentional on Israel's part. That is a good summary of it. I saw the same thing. I did not put together that Israel was responsible for it. But I absolutely did see the astroturfing. I saw the completely inorganic rise of Nick Fuentes, which has continued. Look, just be very cautious. No matter what he's saying, be very cautious with that individual, okay? Just telling you, be cautious. I don't give a fuck about, I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to go wild with this stuff, okay? But I am not going to be silent about this stuff. And I don't have any obligation to be as a J6er, because I know what fucking nonsense he did. And I also know how he betrayed a J6er friend of his as well. Okay. So just beyond all the stuff about him being being not indicted for no reason whatsoever, trying to claim like, oh, his lawyer worked something out. Sorry, that didn't work. That didn't work. Okay. They had you by the balls and they didn't care. The only way you got off is if you ratted or you cooperated in some way. And I know he betrayed another J6er. I'm not going to name names to get them in the drama, but someone who was supposed to be a really good friend of his, and it was really, really fucked up. So this is not a good person. Don't get it twisted whatsoever. Whatever he's saying it through fucking forked teeth. And I don't care if he's on the right. I don't consider somebody who tried to campaign for Kamala Harris on the right. Go fuck yourself, Nick. That's it. Okay? If you're a groiper, fuck off. I don't care. You guys are really spiritually no different than Antifa, and it's going to come out. And this is what I'm going to talk about right now, because this is really important. And this is going to be hard to some people, and it's going to be a little complicated. Okay? It's actually not that complicated. It's just the trap is hating Jews. Okay? Do not fall into the trap of hating Jews. And by the way, this is a trap that is going to apply for every single group. Okay. If I have a criticism of mass Indian immigration to all Western countries, I do not hate Indians. If I have an issue with, this other group or whatever for crime, like black people for crime or whatever, I do not hate black people. Okay. You can criticize behavior. You can notice differences. There is definitely a behavioral and cultural tendency of Jews to do this, some sort of subversive behavior. This is it. But there are a lot of really, really, really good Jews as people, really good Jews. They are not involved with this. They are not evil people. They're not. You cannot look at a Jew and say this is an evil person. I hate them. I hate them. You can't look at them and just hate them. That is a real trap. And you have to be developed enough for you to hold these two ideas in your mind at the same time, to recognize differences between groups and people. And in the general, I talk about this in my book, actually, because I had an experience like this at Fort Dix, the general and the particular, the individual. If you get into, and I've seen this from people on the right, because they are baiting you into it by doing, by Israel and, the international, financier Jews, whatever, like Soros, they are baiting you into hating them. And that is exactly what they want, because what happens is that then you break the actual unity. You push good Jews into the camp with these people who have different plans, which is what they want. They want this separation. They want this polarization. And if you do this, you will help them to win. This is how they fuck with you. They make you think that you got it all figured out and that now you have the real enemy. Okay? No, the real enemy is not Jews. The real enemy is bad faith behavior. It's service to self behavior. And that exists in every single race, group, religion. Okay? It does. Now, there are differences between group and behavior, but service to self, negative polarization exists in every single race and group, as does service to others. And that is the real, when we talk about like what is the real, biblically speaking, as a Christian, what is the real, like, obviously it's the people who have been connected to the Holy Spirit. That is the real, like, Israel from a Christian perspective. But I think that you can even expand this in a bigger level. That's like a more coherent, centralized group of services to others, but there's a bigger one too. Some people have different faiths, different there are people who are positively polarized and negatively. So I'm just telling you guys this. I know some of you guys, you're really pissed off, you're frustrated, and look, I'm not pulled any punches. I'm not carrying water for BB. I'm not pretending things that aren't happening, okay? I'm just telling you, your spiritual test is to not, I'm not saying go along with it. I'm not saying like encourage it, be a bitch or anything, but don't fall into hating an entire group just for the sake of them being a group. I have had in my life, and you know, thank God for it, right? I've had in my life lots and lots of positive experiences with Jews who have really been good friends, been really helpful. You know, when I went to prison, a Jew on Twitter who helped save my marriage, by the way, when I needed help, he sent me a plaque with all the J6ers on it, David Feldman, okay? He's as Jew comes. He's a good man, okay? We cannot fall into this hate. We can call out, point things out, and don't let anybody gaslight you and say because you point things out that you're anti-Semitic, because that's fucking manipulation. But don't hate them simply because they're different, because they have this different religion. Judge them as individuals on an individual basis. Look, I'm not saying that you don't stereotype, because stereotyping is natural. I think you guys understand. I don't have to keep belaboring this, but it's a really important lesson, because that is the trap. And this is like the narrow path that Trump and MAGA have to walk. Because we win when the world comes together against them. These service to self demons. That is what the end times are, by the way, guys. I'm just going to tell you guys this. This is the bigger picture end times. It checks out astrologically. 2046. You know, that's the end. And when I say the end, I don't mean it's the end of the world and that everybody's dead. That may be what they want to do, or have some kind of dystopian control system. But where we are going, 2046, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can tell, is the end of the cabal completely. And that is when we are really in a golden age, and we are moving into space. We will be a unified planet. I'm not saying that means that everybody's mixed up everywhere, because that's not real unity. Okay? Unity in a marriage, for instance, is two independent individual people who work together for something. It's the same thing with independent individual countries with different races and backgrounds, all working together. That is unity consciousness. It's not the inversion of it, which is the constant mixing of everybody else together, so you have nothing in no consciousness. Okay? Jew hate is a very febrile mentality, and I have seen it firsthand. Because, you know, when you're exploring things like what really happened in World War II, what really happened with the Holocaust, you can start to be tempted into certain ways of thinking. And I have seen people who have, you know, otherwise presented really interesting information about these time periods, things that really get you to think. And I have seen how it eventually makes them really rotted, like it rots them. It doesn't just rot their spirit, but eventually rots their mind. They really become possessed by hate. And I don't know, maybe that's what happened to the Nazis eventually, because I can tell you this. This is going to scare people. I'm going to tell you this. They didn't start out as a bad movement, at least. I don't know if they finished as a bad movement. I don't know if they fell into it somehow or another, if they got baited into it, or if they had no other choice. That is something I'm still trying to figure out, because I know that they did not seek out that war. But it's very possible that they could have, by the end, been consumed by the hate, and that was it for them. But they started off as a very high trust, idealistic movement trying to purge the country from bad faith. That's the facts, okay? You can hate me for it. You can call me whatever the fuck you want. What are you going to do? Throw me in prison? Fuck off. I don't care. I don't care. I've studied enough of it. I've seen it. I know the lies. But you cannot let that make you just hate Jews. You can't do it. That's the trap. Don't let it do that to you. Got to have a higher level of discernment. Who is manipulating you and who is being sacrificed by those manipulators? Because I'm going to tell you this, most of those Jews do not want this. They will end up siding with their kin, which is understandable if the world starts to go against them. But they do not want this. And so we need to do what Charlie was doing, which was trying to separate Jews from this cabal that has a project for Israel. But I believe by the mid 2040s, the cabal is going to be done. And we are going to be, I'm not going to say that there's, I don't know if I can, it's going to be a different world. I don't know if I can say there's not going to be evil, but it may be we may no longer have evil, this evil cabal manipulating behind the scenes, right? So when people do negative things, it may be understood as just, a lower conscious, like there's not going to be demons who are feeding it. And I don't think we know exactly what that looks like. I'm having like a glimmer of it. That's where we're going, in my opinion. That's where we're going. But guys, it's 2025. That's 21 years away. We have a lot to go through until then. Make no mistake, we have a lot to go through until then. I'm going to tell you guys, I've been doing a little like assessment of it's obviously not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but a little assessment of where we are at in the big picture timeline to give some sort of analogy. So if you look at 2001 as 1914, and I think that there's some appropriateness to that, because in both cases you had a world that was, stable, and it almost seemed like they were going into a golden age and nothing could stop it. And then all of a sudden you have an incident, in this case, the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Now, look, there was tensions in Europe over empire, but I'm not convinced. Look, there may have been some skirmishes, that could have occurred over turf, but the kind of stuff in World War I and the way that war started was total manipulation. It was totally manipulated. And I mentioned in prior COVID cabals how the British, where the cabal is really centered, city of London, right? That they manipulated the different powers against each other. And this is British diplomacy in general. They will make treaties with multiple different people, secret treaties, and they'll betray somebody. So people expect, that they're going to do one thing, yeah, you're a friend, and then all of a sudden they betray you. And that's how it is. And they create wars and stuff with that, right? That's how they do it. So 2001 and 2014, the war on terror was World War I. In many ways, that's what it was. And if you look at 2011, which I think is when we pulled out of Iraq, you look at that next sort of 9-year period, that's kind of like, it's like this kind of stuff correlates to like the roaring 20s, right? Massive inflation in the aftermath of the financial crisis and cultural degeneration across the board, right? Same sort of thing that happened in the 1920s, especially in Europe, especially in Germany. So with that said, where are we right now? Well, we're about at 1933. Okay. So when I'm telling you guys that this is not over yet, you have to keep that perspective. The 2030s are going to be actually wild. And when you take into consideration this Antichrist theory with Israel and everything that we have, you can see how it's going to play out in that direction. We are in the process of throwing off the yoke, but the big fight is yet to come. And I don't know, you saw Israel's got all these lasers and everything. The big fight is yet to come. There's a lot of stuff that they haven't revealed that they have. We have the alien space stuff. I mean, I didn't even talk about that there's this object. I didn't put it in my slides because I wasn't intending to talk about this, but there's a spaceship. I mean, that NASA has picked up. And we know it's a spaceship because it's its speed's changing, right? It has a light shift, so we can see that the speed has changed. It's basically a spacecraft. It's getting closer, you know. So there's like a lot of stuff that's left to come. So I don't know. Maybe we're gonna have a lot more COVID Cabal. Maybe it's not going to be just 2 seasons of COVID Cabal. Maybe it's going to be maybe it's going to be a lot more than that, because there is a lot yet to come. When we get to the mid 2030s, 2033 would be my guess. Around then, things are going to get wild. It's going to be like 1939. You know what I'm trying to say? It's going to be big. So let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens. But look, speaking of what's happening, let's go into a little bit of this stuff first. So I'm just going to glance really quickly about, I have to say this, okay? I have to say this because it's important with Charlie Kirk. It's the last comment about this. Charlie Kirk was obviously a political person, and he did a lot of great job persuading people's minds. But the real thing about Charlie was that he was a saint, and he brought the Holy Spirit in with his death. He was a martyr. We, for the first time, if you had a soul, you were affected by Charlie Kirk's death. That's my opinion. Okay. I didn't say even that you were just like a Christian, because people were affected by it who had not even, had kind of turned their backs and stuff like that. And it called to them. It really spoke to people who didn't even know him, because that was his real impact. His real impact was with the Holy Spirit. Okay. So the significance of this is that they thought by killing him, they were making a good decision. And on the surface, they did, right? They killed Trump's top lieutenant, right? Not next in line, but next in line to the throne, so to speak. But this is how it backfires, is because this is how light works against darkness. He put himself out there knowing how much risk he was at. And we're going to find out how much he really, really knew and who he knew about, because apparently Erica Kirk saying that she knows everything. She was asked from this person, this anonymous person. She knows everything. And it wouldn't surprise me. Charlie may have known much more about who was actually targeting him. And a lot of this obfuscation with the assassination, everything that happened, and why Cash isn't being totally forthright, is perhaps because, and I know people don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear me carry water for Cash App Patel. I'm sorry, guys. I love Cash. I trust Cash. Okay, I trust him. That's what matters to me. Is I trust him. He's firing Biden appointees. He's fired 5,000 people in the FBI. He wrote a children's book with himself as a wizard, helping Trump. He's with the team, guys. I don't know about Bondi, but Cash and Bondi are close. So I'm giving Bondi the benefit of the doubt still, even though she's a harder one to defend. But Cash, there's just bigger stuff going on here. And one thing I want to point out is that in the past, when you had conspiracy theories and stuff happened, there's a shooting, right? There's some assassination. You think that you need to, that we're going to be able to find out what happened, right? Because we're thinking back in the JFK times, what was the second shooter? How many shooters were there? Well, what they found now in the information age, now that everyone's paying attention, this is really important because it's going to help your discernment. Okay. There is not going to be, I'm telling you guys this, there is not going to be a single event that happens where there is not going to be rabbit holes. And that's going to be the case even if there isn't actually a rabbit hole, because that is how now they control the narrative. They can't actually control the narrative, but what they can do is they can make it impossible for anyone to control anything. So they know, I'm telling you guys this, they know when they did this assassination of Charlie, a lot of the things that you're seeing in the alternative community may be there as like red herrings just to throw people off. Like you have those people doing the military hand signals and stuff like that. People are like, who's this? Who's this person? It wouldn't surprise me if they had people there doing things like that pedo, like Zin, right? That they would have him there to do this thing, to then make people look in this direction. They're making you look in like 500 different directions at once. And people are like, the story doesn't make sense. There's something, they're hiding something. Yeah, they're hiding something. They might be hiding what's in plain sight. Now, look, I'm not saying that it's, you know, the whole shooting story doesn't make sense in terms of like how he had the gun on the roof and all that stuff. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And, you know, now we have this, right? That the acoustic analysis confirms he was near ground level, 70, 90 feet away. They're saying it was basically down on the stairwell to the far right of him. So they're saying that blood, that was an exit wound that you saw in Charlie's left neck. That wasn't what was initially said, which was that a bullet that hit his body armor and nicked his neck. They're saying actually came from behind, punctured his neck, and then came out the front. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if this is true. I'm telling you guys, I don't know any of this stuff. There's going to be a lot of misinformation. I'm not saying the story makes sense, but I don't think you will ever get stories that make sense. And the only point I have to make with this is that good guys and bad guys have their reasons for it not to make sense. Cash, maybe not telling everybody the full truth of things, because this is also a matter of how much letting you know, MAGA, letting Trump reveal. Trump loves secrecy. Trump is not like Putin. I don't want to be a fluffer for Putin. Putin's an intelligence agent, but Russia's general propaganda policy is to be very, very honest and overt, so that 80% of the time you're like, yeah, Russia's totally telling the truth, so they can kind of fib the other 20%, and people believe them more likely because they've usually told the truth. Russia totally lies. They totally lie. They just lie a lot less than other countries, and that's partly a strategic decision. Trump, maybe it's because he was in the New York real estate market, is not like that. Trump is all about, you know, maneuvering people into positions where they're at a disadvantage. He's all about information control. It's one of the things that I think creates tension with his leadership style, because he doesn't always fill people in with what he's doing, and that creates disloyalty. I think that's one of his blind spots. But the point of all this stuff is that Trump, it would totally not surprise me, and it would actually make a lot of sense. People want the FBI to be totally transparent, but they're playing a massive game of deception. So part of that game is how much are they laying on how much that they know about what happened, right? Trump keeps a lot of things close to his chest, which is one of the reasons why I tell you guys, you just gotta trust him. You just gotta trust him. He's not gonna gratify your desire to know what's going on. He's not gonna do it. So anyway, so that's the stuff with all that. And damn, I didn't even talk about the stuff with the king. Well, I'm gonna close it out really, really quick because I gotta run. I got 2 more minutes. Okay, look. And we'll do the other schizo stuff later. It's not as important. Trump went to the United Kingdom. He violated all protocol. He actually had a state visit with the king. That never happens. It's the second one in the UK, and he dominated everybody. This is a very ambiguous. If you're a conspiracy brain, this is a very ambiguous thing. POTUS and FLOTUS, the king and the queen. He certainly act like the king and the queen. Trump and Melania. And I'm just gonna leave you guys this. Okay, I'm gonna leave you this. What is this? Is this what I want to leave you? No, it's something different. I'm gonna leave you with this. What the fuck is this? Where am I gonna leave you at? Where is it? No, not that. Not that. Not that. Guys, hold on. Here we go. Trump's royal bloodline. Through his mother's Scottish MacLeod clan, Trump descends from King Robert the Bruce. On his father's side, from England's King Edward III, making him distant kin to the Tudors and the Windsors. No wonder he walks like a king. He didn't just walk like a king. He was walking ahead of the king, and he was being saluted as if he was the commander-in-chief of the British military. Now, does that mean Britain's free? Does that mean patriots are in control of everything? No. But it does mean that we are entering into checkmate period here. Checkmate period. I'm telling you guys, it's coming. It's coming. And I really think that Trump is going to, in some way, bring the Commonwealth all together. So maybe Trump's not president in 2028. Maybe he's king of America and the Commonwealth. A man can dream. But look, guys, this goes a little bit deeper than people realize. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it through. There's one last thing I just want to throw out here about Kirk, about the assassin. Okay. Remember his one semester at college? He was at the Center for Anticipatory Intelligence, and then he was gone, right? He goes to this, to basically an intelligence agency thing, and then he leaves. And then he goes down this internet rabbit hole. And by the way, his uncle is also a gun runner in Ukraine, training paramilitary units in Ukraine. Sorry, guys. I see an intel agency going on right now with this guy. Classic intel grooming. That family that turned him in, I guarantee you anything, that family is connected to the cabal intelligence agencies. I guarantee it. I guarantee it at this point. It is all roads lead to Rome, man. They all lead to Rome. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you guys on Monday. See what happens.